Hallo, ik ben Theo Herbots. Ik ben geboren in 1953. Het is misschien niet zo evident dat ik deze video vannacht aan mijn bureau breng, omdat het gaat over biologische leef- en teeltwijzen. Maar naar de toekomst toe zal ik wel video's in de buitenlucht gaan maken met allerlei beelden, hoe zaaien, hoe planten, hoe leven, hoe bewegen, alles erop en eraan. Momenteel verzamel ik wel op YouTube video's van andere mensen, heel goede video's, die ik op mijn website aan het plaatsen ben. Maar waarom dat ik deze video maak en waarom ik deze website maak. Mijn ouders waren boerenmensen en zoals gezegd, ik ben geboren in 1953, dus ik ben 63 jaar oud. Of 63 jaar jong, zoals u het hebben wilt. Maar als je aan die mensen indertijd gevraagd had, wat zijn herbiciden, fungiciden, pesticiden, kleurstoffen, geurstoffen, noem maar op, die zouden je verbaasd aangekeken hebben en gezegd, over wat is die bezig? Want dat kenden de mensen toen niet, dat bestond er toen nog niet. U moest hen ook niet vragen wat is biologische leef- en teeltwijze. Dat kenden ze ook niet. Alhoewel dat ze al heel veel jaren in de praktijk aan het toepassen waren. Nooit gedwongen omdat ze geen sproeistof of niks hadden. Van generatie op generatie werd alles overgebracht. De vaders brachten aan de zonen bij hoe dat ze op het veld moesten werken en hoe dat ze bomen moesten zagen en dergelijke meer. De moeders brachten de dochters bij hoe dat ze eten moesten klaarmaken, hoe dat ze het eten moesten bewaren. Maar het eeuwige conflict, het eeuwige generatieconflict, toen ik aan 29 jaar alleen gaan wonen ben, ik wou mijn vader bewijzen dat ik het beter kon. Dus allerlei sproeistoffen bijgehaald, kunstmest, noem maar op. En inderdaad, de opbrengst die ik had was veel groter als die van mijn vader. Maar als de tafel kwam, de smaak was al veel minder. Maar ja, koppige ezel gelijk als ik ben, ik bleef toch voortdoen. Maar na een paar jaar begon ik al te merken, de opbrengsten werden minder. Niet alleen de smaak was er al veel minder, maar ook de opbrengsten werden minder. Dus meer sproeistoffen en maar bijdoen en maar bijdoen. Tot als ik ergens in een artikel iets gelezen had over VELD, Vereniging Ecologische Leven en Teeltwijze. Ik heb me daar toen laten aansluiten. Ik ben heel veel jaren lid geweest hier in Tiene, ook in bestuur geweest. Maar door tegenslagen leven ben ik moeten verhuizen. Ik had geen tuin meer, ik heb dat niet meer gedaan. Maar momenteel kan ik terug ergens anders terug een tuin onderhouden en ik neem de draad terug op. Ik wil terug mijn eigen biologische en ecologische groenten. Ook om gezondheidsredenen. Ik voel het namelijk gewoon het verschil als ik biologische groenten en biologische producten neem. Het verschil is enorm. Vandaar deze website. En dus nogmaals, ik ga in de toekomst allerlei video's zelf opmaken om hier op deze site aan te brengen. U zult nog wel van mij horen. Tot later. Dag.
Welkom bij mijntuin.org. Mijntuin.org is een sociaal platform voor en door tuinliefhebbers en biedt tal van mogelijkheden. Voeg je planten toe en krijg een digitaal overzicht van jouw tuin. Wil je meer info over jouw planten? Bekijk de plantenfiches met bijhorende foto's en video's. Wanneer moet ik mijn planten bemesten, zaaien of snoeien? Dankzij de gepersonaliseerde tuinkalender krijg je een overzicht van alle activiteiten van jouw tuin op de website, in de wekelijkse nieuwsbrief en in jouw kalender. Heb je nog tuinvragen? Aarzel niet om ze te stellen aan de medetuiniers. De nieuwsbrief geeft je een gepersonaliseerde update van het belangrijkste nieuws, informatieve artikels, nieuwe plantenfiches, tuinevenementen en nog zoveel meer. Kom dus snel een kijkje nemen op mijntuin.org en word lid van de snelst groeiende tuincommunity van Vlaanderen en Nederland. Mijn Tuin is er ook als app voor jouw tablet en smartphone. Mijntuin.org. Meer tuin, minder moeite.
When you look at the incredible landscape on planet Earth, all the different terrains, the varying soil conditions, the awesome water features, oceans, lakes, rivers, streams, the waterfalls, the different climates, the huge amounts of plants and ground covers, the requirements are so varied. Can one fathom how big a project that was? When God designed the landscape project for planet Earth, He was so genius, He designed it in such a way He would never have to show up to work. It is completely self-sustained. My name is Paul Galchi, and I was raised as a gardener. My parents grew all of our food in Los Angeles as I grew up, and I remember as a 5-year-old kid, my dad on Saturday morning waking us up and saying, well, we got to head off into to the horse stables to get some horse manure today. So we went down to a rental yard and got a trailer and went to the horse stables and loaded up manure and came home and spread it out in the garden and spaded it in. And as kids, we wore shovels out, spading in heavy clay ground, mixing soil and having a garden. It was wonderful growing up because every time we were hungry, we could go outside and pick fresh vegetables and fruit all the time. And just down in California, there's nothing you couldn't grow, so we had it all year long. So it was really great. And so as I started to, grow up and I got married and I had some children and I decided, Los Angeles was no longer a place fit for human habitation as far as I was concerned. It was getting really crowded and smoggy and just not safe. And so I thought I want to move to a place where I can continue to do this and grow fresh food for my family, have clean water, clean air. So we came up here to the Olympic Peninsula of Washington. We have a beautiful place. But we built a house and we faced a real challenge. We drilled a well, went 213 feet and got half a gallon a minute. And if you're doing the math and thinking about that, that's not enough water to do a garden. I'll never forget as long as I live. It was August 1979. It was a great year to build a house. It didn't rain all summer, but boy, in August, all this grass was totally dead. The road coming in was all dust. I'm looking at that and saying, God, how am I going to grow fruits without water? And it was so incredible. I hear inside, it says, well, you're looking at the wrong thing. Turn around and look at your trees. And I pushed enough out when I built the house that I knew they had shallow roots. And I says, God, you really have my attention. If you can show me how you do these without irrigation, I can do an orchard. So I went out to the woods of the Fork and I started moving this material underneath the trees, and I was totally amazed. This beautiful, soft, black, damp, incredible compost. When I saw that, I says, well, I can do this. This makes sense. So I started planting the trees out there, and at that time I had straw and sheep manure. Now I'm using wood chips, and it's been amazing. This orchard's been here 31 years now. It's never been watered or fertilized once. It goes through droughts or whatever, and it's just every year it gets better. As I was doing this orchard, experiencing these incredible results, because I was a creature of habit, and because our nature is to do things as we were taught, and not to inquire from God, I says, okay, God, thanks for the help, but I can handle some of my own. And so for I think probably 17 years, I was out here diligently rototilling, hauling in organic material. You can see a place over here, my major rock pile. This is my altar. This is where all the rocks that came out of my garden over here. And I'm just doing this stuff, and I'm feeling I'm on this treadmill, just running in place, going nowhere, feeling like I'm going to keep up with this. Every spring, the ground is totally muddy and wet. When I tilled it, it turned to weeds in 5 to 7 days, solid green with weeds. I planted things 3 feet apart so I can rototill with it, do the weeding with the tiller, and it was just labor intensive. And one day I got out my orchard. I don't know what motivated me. I got on my knees and I started moving these wood chips, and I'm down to my elbow in this beautiful black compost. And I got up and started screaming. I was so angry. I said, there's something wrong with this picture. I have been killing myself to get this in my garden. I don't have it. I didn't do anything here. And I hear inside, well, it works in your garden the same way. You didn't ask. I was so angry. I threw that tiller away and I started covering my garden with wood chips. I always say to people the greatest gift God ever gave me was that lousy well, because it opened me up to Him and to show me His incredible work in creation. I've been a gardener for 55 years. I've done tilling, done all that stuff, and it's so amazing now. My only tool is a rake, and it's just so easy and so simple, and the production is so superior to what I ever had.
Ever wonder why you're working? Ever tire of researching? Oh, there's gotta be a better way. So you lift your hands up and pray. Father, can you hear me? I'm listening to you now. I'm ready to trust you, to lead and guide me somehow. The creator of the universe concerns himself with me. He's passionately revealing his culture of love and of peace. To Eden, Eden, Eden is the place of freedom. To Eden, Eden, Eden is the place of freedom. Your yoke is easy, your burden is light. Help me to lean on you the rest of my life. To Eden, Eden, Eden is the place of freedom.
When I saw how easy and simple this was, I says, God, where do we lose it? Why are we doing this? And it was so interesting. It took me right back to Genesis in the beginning. And if you look at in the beginning, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, they had this beautiful, relaxing day in the garden. And every afternoon and evening, God would come down and walk with them through the garden. And I'm sure as he walked through the garden, he would just share with them things that they saw in the garden that day about himself. Did you notice this? This is my character. This is all about me, kind of thing. And I'm sure they just had this incredible time, totally relaxed, no stress, every day. But when man sinned, the scripture said things are going to change. And the wording is, by the sweat of your brow, you're going to raise food. Thistles and thorns and weeds are going to compete with you. And the next verse says, and man began to till the soil. You see, man never cultivated in the garden. He tended the garden, but he never disturbed the ground. And when man got disconnected from God, he began to till the soil. The whole issue is so very simple. It's all about cover. Nowhere in nature where man has not been do you ever see exposed dirt. That only happens when man comes and takes the cover. Everywhere in nature where man has not been, it's either covered with needles and leaves or grasses, but the ground is covered. And the reason is because the ground is a living organism. And as all living organisms, such as ourselves, we have skin to protect us. The animals have fur. Fish have scales. Birds have feathers. And the soil is a living organism. And God has designed it and made it so it's always covered with something. And when you take the cover off, it becomes vulnerable and it gets lost. And this is the thing that amazes me about us as intelligent human beings, how we don't see it, because we've been experiencing it for thousands of years in a negative way. We're all around us, all through creation. Everything's just growing beautifully with no work. And we work hard to fail. When we came to the Midwest here 200 years ago, there was 8 to 12 feet of beautiful topsoil. I mean, gorgeous stuff. And if you've ever flown across the Midwest and you look down at the ground, it's almost scary. It's just parched, cracked, hard, totally desolate. Almost looks like desert. There's 8 inches of topsoil today because it's all blown and washed away, and they're still cultivating. This is not working, and we're losing topsoil. And topsoil in nature, it takes 100 years to build an inch of topsoil. I mean, it is criminal and incredibly devastating what we've done to the planet.
Soil conservation people in the Midwest will tell you that it's okay to lose around 4 tons of soil per acre per year. I don't believe, I may be wrong, I don't believe that soil is forming at the rate of 4 tons per acre per year. When the soil erodes, the organic matter erodes and all the nutrients that were in the soil erode. and that's just gone. It's just a resource that isn't there anymore.
I found that if I try to help nature at any level, I mess it up. My approach now is just to look what it does and it says, talk to me, show me what you're doing, because I want to copy it, because it does it the best. I have two properties that I'm doing this on. This one here, the ground is clay and rock. It would be impossible to farm. It would be considered from the agricultural point of view as marginal soil. The other place I have is 80% rock, totally gravel pit. You couldn't possibly till it. You couldn't possibly cultivate it. And in both of those places, I'm experiencing the most incredible, beautiful gardens. I love that scripture where it says, as we behold the Lord, we're being changed from glory to glory. And I find that anything that comes in contact with God gets changed, including clay and rock and rock. It's just so awesome to take people and take them back and show them my incredible ground. You can't even break with a pick and walk on this stuff. It's totally buoyant. Everything's just growing great, and I didn't do anything. I just put the cover down and God does it all. Whatever organic, natural thing you have at your disposal, it will work. And I've used everything from straw, grass clippings, leaves, animal manures, rocks. But having used them all, I come back to wood chips and I see where it's been for a while and what it's done. It is my favorite. It just is the nicest thing to use. First of all, when I speak of wood chips, I want to delineate between wood chips and other things that people put in the same category, such as bark or shavings or sawdust. Wood chips, when I say wood chips, I'm referring to branches that have been chipped. Branches of trees, which is about 90% needles and leaves, that have gone through a chipper or a tub grinder. You want to get it from the source, either a good tree service, someplace who has a good amount of it, and because the bag's just too small and too expensive. If you live in an area where you have local tree services, people that are trimming trees or taking them down, I would just get in the phone book and look for those kind of people, and that would be a great source. In most cases, to them, it's something they've got to get rid of, and so they're looking for places to get rid of it, so it shouldn't be a problem. Just this whole area gets filled. Just pack it in tight. As much as you can bring, man. I'll use it.
In the local area here, we remove hazard trees and trimming and view removals and different things to enhance views, and so this is a byproduct of that operation. We've dumped chips here for Paul for a lot of years. And 12? Okay, 12 years. In Paul's case, this is so handy for us because the location, it actually saves us time. So we give it to Paul. It's handy for us to get rid of the material. So it's getting more and more common for people to call us wanting chips.
The thing about mulch is pretty much in every municipality there's mulch available, because someone's chopping a tree down, somebody's cutting trees, somebody's shredding leaves. If we can try and get things that are as close as possible to us, maybe it's your neighbor that's chipping up a tree next door, then that's the best product for you.
I'm an arborist. I prune trees for a living, and for me it's an art form, and I'm so thankful to be able to do it because it's a gift that I have, and it's just something that's just so pleasing and so pleasurable. It's interesting that the scripture talks about pruning there. In John 15, Jesus is saying that I am the vine and you are the branches, and my Father is the husbandman. He's the one who maintains and cares for it all. And it goes on to say that he prunes the trees for what purpose? So they'll bear more fruit. And I love these things about God because they're so much bigger than I. When I try to figure that out, it makes no sense. If I'm cutting a tree, taking branches off, it would make sense to me from a mathematical point of view. I'm reducing its capacity to bear fruit. But God's saying he prunes so it'll bear more fruit. And it's just this incredible, beautiful illustration of God, how his whole principle is it's in giving you receive. And so with the tree, when you're taking stuff out of it and it's giving of itself, that process develops it and strengthens it and encourages it to produce more fruit. And in my experience, I totally see it. People will come to my orchard here, this time of year, and you can't even walk through it. And they'll come after I prune it in January, and they says, "What happened to your trees? They're naked. I mean, what'd you do to them?" I says, "We'll come back in September. They'll be all touching, And I'm just basically, making room for them to fill in, and they just produce so heavily every year. And it's amazing how much comes out. But they come right back and produce tremendously. And I'm finding, I always tell people, if you want a tree to grow, the most stimulating thing you can do to it is cut it. Cutting it will way surpass fertilizing, watering, anything else. Nothing compares to the effect of pruning.